Hey guys, I'm going to stand here in a weird pose so I can get close enough to the camera that you can hear me, and then I'm going to back up so you can see the sweater. So, I finally made myself a sweater. I had all of these colors left over after I made all the Kickstarter sweaters, and I loved all the colors so much that I decided to combine them all because they all were kind of similar undertones. Most of them are blue, which is the color that I love to wear. And I wanted to talk about the things I just put up on my Etsy store. So my dad and my husband have just had some really good conversations, good conversations with me about what I want to do in life, and that just because I love to make something doesn't mean that I need to give it away for nothing. Now that's not the same as giving something to someone for something. And so for those of you who I have made things for you or bartered for you, it was what I delight in, and it's exactly what I wanted to do. And for those of you who we had arrangements where I made things for you and they weren't at these prices, it's not saying that they weren't worth it at those prices, because at that point I hadn't made anything for other people. I had never sold any items, and I couldn't really say that I was good at it. And so you guys unfortunately had to be my guinea pigs, and hopefully you're really happy with the results from what you got. But I don't want you to look and be like, well, she sold it to me for a lot less than that. I wonder if she pitied me, or I wonder if she was just trying to be kind. And that's not the case at all. They were definitely worth exactly whatever you paid for them, because I was just starting out and didn't really know what I was doing. And it's just really lucky that I figured out what I was doing so that they didn't look horrible. So last night I put up a whole bunch of things on Etsy site. Most of them are custom orders. The thing I delight in is to have somebody make a request, to say they like a certain color, to say they like a certain texture, to say they like a certain pattern, and then for me to make it specifically for them. Not to be something where I'm like, oh, I just feel like knitting a hat today, I think I'll knit a hat, and then I'll put it up on Etsy. I don't like that. I like to have had a conversation with you and have you and your face and your voice in mind when I make an item. So, starting out, I have some yarn for sale, and you can pick from my wall of yarn. Let's see. You can pick from my wall of yarn. I don't really have everything up there right now. And that's kind of why I would prefer to do custom orders in which you ask me for colors. I have been making bats. All of these came from the same dye pot. And the way that I make the bats is to pick out the certain colors and only card them together in the way that I want them. So these all came from the same dye pot, meaning I dyed them all in the same pot, and yet when I carded them they came out completely different from each other. And the red came from its own dye pot, but I also have some pink from the same dye pot. And then I have a lot of mohair. The mohair turns out really shiny, and some orange. Wow. This camera does not pick up orange or red very well. And so the custom made yarn is $15 a skein, I believe. That's for 160 yards. And if it's finer, it creates more yards. If it's thicker, it creates less yards. So with the bulkier fiber, I would actually send 2 skeins to make sure you got at least 160 yards. And I'm going to play with it. It might turn out that what I really want to do is maybe do it as 2 skeins for $20 instead of 1 skein for $15, because for most of my projects it requires 2 of my skeins to make a hat or a scarf, although it would pretty much cover gloves. I mean, gloves are pretty small. But the other thing is I have a regular beanie hat up there. I have one of my fancy hats, and for a fancy hat it's really expensive because the sky's the limit. What do you want me to make for you? And I buy the pattern that you see on Ravelry or somewhere else. I go and buy the pattern, and then we brainstorm together about how to make it work, and it can have intricate patterns like like shell designs and cable stitching. It can have anything you want on that. And those ones are expensive. They're really pricey, but it's going to take me a month to make it for you. And so that's kind of exciting. And you get to pick, on any of these, you get to pick which fiber I use, which dye I use, etc., etc. Then we get to sweaters. The sweaters are extremely time consuming, and my husband and my dad and I had a very long heart-to-heart conversation in which they explained to me that I was needing to get enough out of the sweaters to justify the amount of time I have to stay away from my family, or that I'm really needing to sit and focus on the knitting, that I need to make more money from them. And so this sweater took me 150 hours to make. And that's because the yarn was already made. I'd already made the yarn once. And my skin is really sensitive to wool, but this does not bother me at all to wear this next to my skin. And so for a sweater that I make from scratch, having sheared my sheep with my little hand clippers that are like scissors, not the buzzers, the scissors, from beginning to end, not counting washing and not counting dyeing, so I don't count those in the hours. It takes me 350 hours to make a sweater. And so it's exorbitantly priced because of the exorbitant amount of time I put in it. It's not that I think that my product is worth more than anybody else's product out there. It's just that the time, my product takes more time than anybody else's because I do it from scratch. And so if you want a sweater, you'll look at the price and you'll decide if you want the sweater that bad, because at that price I am making $4 an hour, which is fine because I love to do it. And that's the lowest price that I can put it at in order to be able to put that kind of time into it, because I'm at home with my kids and I've still got chores, and the timeline for a sweater like that, depending on the size, is 3 to 6 months. If it's a larger sweater, it'll take me 6 months to make it. If it's a smaller sweater, like something I would wear, it's 3 months. And I can't apologize for the price, because the only reason it's priced that much is because how many hours it takes me to put into it. So guys, go check it out, Dirtpatcheaven, on Etsy, etsy.com. And keep watching. Make sure to subscribe and like, because it really helps our family out when you guys do that, to make our audience larger. And thank you for watching. I'm watching my camera blink at me saying it's gonna die. Okay, squirrel. Talk to you later.